Hello guys, so as promised, I'm here with my first of 3 days of content about how to mentally, physically, and emotionally survive COVID-19. Today I'm going to focus on the mental aspect of surviving COVID-19, and I'm going to go over why first. So the reason why I felt compelled to do the video is because these are strategies or tips that I use and are currently using that I felt like may help other people, and I just want to share. But it's to help us to sustain this shift that's going on, major shift that nobody really saw coming, or most people I'd say didn't really see coming, to be able to readjust or create new norms. And because everything happened so suddenly, it wasn't necessarily a gradual process. It was hard, especially for people like me. I'm a black and white person. I like to know what's going on next. I like to be warned and forewarned and then warned again before it happens, but life doesn't work that way. So to go from my norm, the same norm I've had for years, to a totally different norm like the next day or the next week, it was really hard for me. So I had to come up with ways to mentally, physically, and emotionally kind of get through, or things that have been helping me to get through this shift. So my number one would be to create a routine, and that looks like getting up in the morning, taking a shower if that's what you do, working out, putting on clothes, not keeping on your PJs all day long. And then the more important thing is to make a to-do list for the day, or some people do it for the week. So making a to-do list of all the things you need to accomplish for the day, whether it be big or really small, no matter, depending on what your lifestyle is, what your body needs, what your family needs. Just making that to-do list, writing it down, and making sure you're going through and checking off each box or bullet point or whatever you want to call it, item as you're going through, and it helps you feel a sense of accomplishment, and that you are moving through the day and not just kind of sitting there blah. So my number two would be to change locations. And of course, I mean at your house, whether it be inside or outside. Changing your environment as far as your workspace is concerned. If you're calling to catch up with a friend, if you're reading a book, listening to music, things that don't require you to be in an exact place, like cooking or something like cleaning the bathroom. But changing that up helps with our mental space. Go outside to get some vitamin D, sit out in the sun for a little bit, sunbathe. But changing that location multiple times a day, or if you want to pick one location every day, it helps us not to feel so stuck. So the third one would be to help others, and this one can be tricky, of course, because we are all practicing social or physical distancing, as I like to call it. But helping others could be dropping off cleaning supplies and maybe food to grandma, dropping it off on her porch, on her doorstep, ring the doorbell, let her know, hey, I brought something to you, something to help, something to lift your spirits, pick up some flowers, their favorite dessert, or, whatever. And it doesn't have to be, grandma, mom, dad. It could be a friend or, a loved one, but just do something for somebody else. And that usually helps us to feel good. If you are not a fan of leaving the house, in which I totally understand, they have delivery services are booming right now. So ordering lunch for a friend or ordering something for a friend and having it delivered to them could be a nice gesture. But just doing something, whether it be every day, or once a week, twice a week, making a point, being intentional about doing something for somebody else. My number four is to stay connected, and by staying connected, I mean via video conferences, phone calls, social media. But this can be tricky because with social media, I know I'm guilty of it myself, just kind of tend to scroll and just watch and look at what other people are doing. That's not being intentional about staying connected and continuing to form those relationships. So while we're using social media, we want to be intentional about talking to, catching up with individuals that we haven't in a while, but be careful not to catch yourself spending hours at a time just scrolling and comparing, and judging and kind of watching just to see what everybody else is doing. That's okay from time to time, but in order to stay connected, we want to be intentional about reaching out to others, communicating with others, catching up with others, seeing how they're doing. So Hey y'all, this is part 2 of my mentally surviving COVID-19. Thank you for listening to part 1. Continue to stay tuned for the emotional and the physical, and give me feedback. Let me know what works for you, what didn't work for you, and share. Number 5 would be limited media intake. We want to stay informed via reliable sources, but once we are informed, then we limit that time and then shift our focus to something else. I know I probably speak in majority to the older population who kind of sit around and watch the news all day and become overwhelmed and frustrated, and the anxiety and maybe depression kicks in because of what you're feeding your spirit all day long. Pick your reliable sources, get your information from there, have limited time that you spend in that space, and then move on to the next thing. So 6 would be to fight boredom, and things or ways that have helped me is to catch up on shows, and I know a lot of you have been doing so already, or find other shows that you may be interested in, just haven't had the time to watch. Reading a book. I know, again, for myself, I got plenty of books that I've read chapters 1, 2, 3, and then that's it. So picking those books up, continuing making time to continue and finish those books, and also exploring a new project, whether it be around the house, hands-on, like gardening for me, or fixing something around the house, or it could be something that involves technology. So just picking a new project, something that you're unfamiliar with, do research on it, make the necessary phone calls, watch the necessary YouTube videos or whatever you need to do, and then start working on it to pick up a new skill. So my number 7 tip would be to avoid burnout, and ways that have helped me as far as work is concerned is to set time blocks, or set aside specific time periods throughout the day and throughout the week that I'm going to work on something in specific. Dedicate that time to it, and then after that time is up, then move on to the next thing. And it allows you not to consume your entire day or entire week with work, and it not to be for me, it's usually if I still have an open tab, or if I feel uneasy about something, even though I'm doing something else, that's still running in the back of my mind, which creates worry and anxiety for me. So time blocks work for me. From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'm going to work on this. At 3 o'clock, I check out, and then I move on to the next thing, to avoid the stress and the anxiety that comes with always worrying about what I have to do next. What email did the child get this, or did I do this that my boss asked me to do? So set those time blocks. Would be to focus on the positives, and it is cliche, however it does work. There are a lot of dark spots as far as this thing is concerned, but there are also a lot of light spots. And I know for me, spending time with family, attention to myself that I've been needed for a while. I just didn't have the amount of time that I need to fully do it. Becoming closer with God, or whoever your higher being is, taking that health and that wellness up a notch or a couple notches. So just using whatever yours look like, just using this time to focus on the good that's going on. People that are recovering from the coronavirus. So I mean, there are a lot of dark spots, but choosing to, we acknowledge that there are dark spots, but choosing to focus on the light spots and how we're going to be better after this thing is over. Tip number 9, my last tip would be to take it one day at a time, and I would say moment at a time, because the future is uncertain, and of course this thing caught a lot of people off, or most people I would say, off guard. So we don't know what the future holds, and instead of being frustrated and consuming your time and your mind with what's going to happen when there's no control there, all you can control is what's going on now in the present moment, and maximizing the present moment. I'm still working on that. Of course, I'm working on all of it, but I'm really working on that because I'm a black and white person. I have to know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen and when it's going to happen, but life doesn't work that way. More times than not, it doesn't work that way. So just becoming comfortable with being in the moment, with really cherishing where we are now, because as we know, life is short. Things happen to people every day, and you never know when it'll be your or your loved one's time. So just really taking the time to maximize right now, taking one moment at a time, and whatever the future holds, we'll deal with it when it gets there. So those are my 9 tips, and there are a lot more, but those are just a few things that I have been doing and are currently doing to help change my mindset, to help change my mood, my perspective about what this thing looks like for me and my family. Hopefully, I've said something that may spark something in you that can help. If not, or if so, share with your loved ones, your friends, people who are not on social media, and give me feedback. Let me know what you think. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the not mental, physical, and emotional part 2 and 3.